so much for tuning in. What I wanted to do today is share with you 5 things that I absolutely loved about my wedding and 5 things that I wish I could go back and change about my wedding. My hope is that you can learn from me and get ideas and understand things that I went through so that way you have a better vision for your wedding and a better plan. So let's start off with the bad. Let's say, I'm not necessarily saying these things were bad, it's just things that as I've been in the wedding industry, I've learned, and I think that I would have changed these things about my wedding personally. So my number one thing that I would go back and change about my wedding is I wish I had done chargers. Y'all are gonna laugh at me because chargers, they're like $1. You go to the dollar store and they're literally $1. Or we even have them for rent here. We have literally like 20 different chargers that you can rent through us. But I swear to y'all, it makes the biggest difference in a wedding. Go back and scroll through our Facebook and Instagram and look at weddings we've done before and compare what it looks like in the room to chargers versus no chargers. I swear to you, it makes the room look 10 times more elegant. It's just something about having the chargers, they give like a glow, whether you do gold or silver or like the beaded trim, it just gives like some warmth to the room and it makes it seem more full. So I definitely my number one thing ever is I wish I had done chargers. So make sure that you're looking into those because they are going to make a huge difference. My number 2 thing that I wish I could change about my wedding is the DJ. Sorry to say, the DJ I booked through the Knot actually. So I found him on the Knot. He had great reviews. He actually used to work for a radio station. And I was like, oh my gosh, he must be really, really good if he works for a radio station, right? And I met with him and me and my husband both met with him. We both liked him. He seemed to be really encouraging and like telling us he knew what he was doing and all this kind of stuff. Well, on the wedding day, he didn't play, for one, he didn't play my bouquet toss song. He couldn't find it somehow. I don't understand how that works, but he literally couldn't find the song. Even though we had talked a month in advance about our song list, he couldn't find it. So I had to throw my bouquet to no music because we stood there, and he couldn't find the song. So I just ended up throwing it because I was tired of waiting, and everybody else was too. We had to wait outside about 15 minutes before we did our grand entrance into the reception, waiting on him because he wasn't ready for our grand entrance song. And I, like after the ceremony, we went outside and we took pictures while everyone went over to the reception, and he had music playing during that time in the reception, but for some reason, when it was time for our grand entrance, he wasn't ready, even though we had a coordinator who told him, get ready, and we had a timeline we were sticking to. So that was just really disappointing. And then also at the end of the night, he started breaking down the photo booth. We rented one through him. He broke it down about 45 minutes before our grand exit, which was not what we had agreed upon. We had agreed upon it being broken down after the grand exit. And so I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted to take some pictures in the photo booth at the end of the night with some friends, and I realized he was already taking it down. So definitely be careful who you hire for a DJ. I think I learned that reviews and working for a radio station doesn't necessarily mean they're a good wedding DJ. There's a very big difference between wedding DJs, corporate DJs, and radio DJs. It's a very different job. So just make sure that you're being aware of that. My number 3 thing that I would change about my wedding is I wish that I had had my hair and makeup be done earlier. So I wish that because we finished our hair and makeup about 45 minutes before the ceremony started. We weren't doing any kind of pre-ceremony photos. We waited till after. So I wish that I had had my hair and makeup done probably more like an hour to an hour and a half before the ceremony, because finishing it 45 minutes before the ceremony, I felt a little bit rushed. Putting on my dress, trying to just get calmed down, trying to get in the mindset of the ceremony. People kept asking me questions, and I felt like it was just a very rushed process. And I didn't really get any of those getting into the dress photos that I would have liked because it was so rushed. So I wish that I had finished hair and makeup more like an hour and a half before the ceremony, just to have given me time to breathe, get in my dress, and get settled and feel good about it. The next thing that I wish I had done at my wedding is a first look with my dad. So when I got married, I didn't know that was a thing. I thought the only first look people did was between bride and groom. I didn't even think that that was a thing to do one with your dad. And unfortunately, since then, my dad has passed away. And so those are pictures I wish I had with him. I mean, I still have pictures of him walking me down the aisle and my daddy-daughter dance, but I really wish I had gotten some kind of picture of him seeing me in my dress for the first time and his reaction to all that. So I really wish that I had had the first look with my dad. And the last thing that I wish I had done for my wedding is a little bit less DIY. The reason is that we spent literally, I think, 5 hours decorating the venue, just me and my mom, and then my day of coordinator helped us too. But that was a lot of work. We did all of our own centerpieces, we did our own linen, we did all of our own decor. I mean, we brought 3 vehicles full of boxes of decor. And while it turned out what I think is beautiful, it honestly was so much work. And at the end of the night, breaking it all back down, like, it really, I think, took away from the experience a little bit, because I wish me and my mom had gotten some time alone together in the bridal suite getting our hair and makeup done together, instead of one of us getting hair and makeup done and the other one setting up decorating and swapping back and forth. I wish we had had maybe a florist or a decorator do more decor so we could have spent more time together relaxing that day and not working so much. And then to move on to the happy things, my 5 favorite things from my wedding. Number 1 would be my dress. I absolutely loved my dress. I picked it the 3rd store I went to, so I did try on probably about 25 dresses before I found this one. And I remember putting it on and I whispered to myself and I said, "This is it." And I walked out of the room and my mom goes, "That's it." Like, we both just instantly knew. I loved, loved, loved my dress. My second favorite thing about my wedding was the food. Shout out to Rudy's Barbecue. It was really, really good. Everybody loved barbecue. It was just a nice Texas country wedding, and I absolutely loved the food. My third favorite thing was that we had a photo booth. I wish the DJ would have left it open longer, but I absolutely loved having that photo booth, because at the end of the night, I got an email with a link to all of the pictures that anyone took during the wedding. So I have pictures of my nieces, of my cousins, of my friends, all being silly and goofy in the photo booth, and I love that I got those pictures. My other thing that I absolutely loved about my wedding was the games. So I got cornhole games. I got that game where you throw the rope with the balls on it and it wraps around the pole. I think it's called like ladder golf. We got giant Jenga. We got all kinds of games that we put outside, because I did have a lot of kids at my wedding. And by putting the games outside, it gave the kids something to do. And so they weren't on the dance floor during my first dance. They weren't, screaming and yelling and causing scenes during like cake cutting and special moments. They pretty much stayed outside playing games the entire time, which was great. And so I am so glad that we did games. And then the other thing I loved about my wedding was the venue. Make sure that you are choosing a venue that you love, because it's the background for all of your photos, it sets the mood, it's the environment. You just really need to make sure that you love your venue as much as I did. So those are my little things that I love and hated about my wedding, and I hope that you can learn from my mistakes and benefit from my tips. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.